Hey everybody, Dustin Schmidt here again today. I'm a photographer and DP here in Oklahoma City. And today I want to talk about the Hive Hornet 200C. I've talked about this light a little bit in the past, and I don't think it's really being talked about enough for some of the features and things that it does. It's kind of been forgotten alongside all of the aperture lights and some of the Godox or whatever, the Nanlux, some of the stuff that has come up for low cost lighting that has really filled kind of a niche that people really were wanting. But the Hive, I think, has kind of been forgotten. I think it's got some interesting things that I'd like to talk about today. And the main one that we're going to focus on is the cosmetic presets. So really what the cosmetic presets come down to is skin tones. And you've probably heard this a million times and everybody's like, oh, how are the skin tones? Where does it rank on the CRI or the TLCI and blah, 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 right? There's 100 different indexes. And really what those are supposed to show you are how well the light replicates daylight. Where does it fill in? Does it have any spikes in certain color areas? With the idea being that you want to fill that range out as well as possible. But just because something does a good job on that index doesn't mean that it's going to look how you want it to look as far as skin tones. There's so many different things that you can do to affect that in terms of your white balance, the green magenta tint, the reflectors and things that you use. All these can impact really kind of how the light performs in real time and how it looks on skin. So what Hive did is they took their multicolor engine technology. The Hive 200C is a multicolor light. It's a full, RGB light. All those manufacturers have their different ways they achieve that, whether that's two different whites or it's an amber or a lime color emitter, all that kind of stuff. And Hive has theirs for that. But what they did is they built in some presets into their app. And I think that's where they did something that's really smart. And so I'm going to run through some of those and we're going to look at them and see what do they do to skin. And what does that give you in terms of creative control when you're lighting someone's face? Because a lot of what you will do as someone who shoots video is light faces. Interviews are a constant thing. If you're doing narrative, you're still lighting faces. I don't know that the 200C is a light that you will see out there in terms of a lot of narrative productions, but for somebody who's a kind of an owner op, I think it's a really cool light that has a lot of uses and a lot of neat things that it can do. So let's get to some of the tests and run through some of these different corrective cosmetic lighting features that they have. I'm going to run through those kind of one by one and let you see what does that look like on a face. So let's check that out and I'll explain the setup. So right now I've got the Hive Hornet 200C through a large octagonal softbox that is probably an arm and a half's length away. And that's the only light that I have on in here. And then we've just kind of got a textured gray backdrop back here. So hopefully what you're going to see now is just purely what this looks like on the face. So right now we have the light set at 5600K. Our white balance is 5600K. Our white balance on the camera is going to stay consistent. And we're just going to cycle through some of the different cosmetic filters on here. Okay. All right, cool amber. Cool bronze. Cool rose. Cool violet. Neutral amber. Neutral bronze. Neutral rose. Neutral violet. warm amber, warm bronze, warm rose, warm violet, so what'd you think? Go ahead and leave a note down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about some of these corrective cosmetic kind of gel settings that Hive has implemented in the 200C. You know, is it worth it to you to have, you know, that type of thing? Does it make a big difference compared to just changing, for instance, the white balance and warming it up a little or cooling it down of your key light, you know, in comparison to where your camera's set? Is this something that you would use that makes it worthwhile to you? Now, in addition to these cosmetic filters that they have in the app, they've also got a huge range of what they call natural and artificial light sources. Things like sunrise, daylight, sun overcast, summer direct, summer shade, golden hour, magic hour, moonlight, twilight. So some really interesting stuff that you can do with this light. And I think probably for the sake of brevity, I'll try to do that in another video to maybe go through the natural ones and the artificial settings. They've got glow sticks, they've got colors, they've got traffic lights, they've got neon, they've got different types of bulbs like gaslight and halogen and warm antique and mercury vapor and metal halide. Just some really cool, interesting stuff. This is kind of a Swiss Army knife of lights. If I had to talk about some of the things that are not so great about this light, it's not the color, it's not the form factor, it's probably the output. It's not a very powerful light. I would put it on par with an Aperture 120D. With the right reflector on it, it puts out about that much power, if not just a tiny bit less. It might be half a stop under what the 120D can put out. And I've got another video actually on that, comparing this light, 120D, and Light in Motion Stella 5000 Pro that you may want to check out. So I'll put that down in the comments below or in the links. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.